I have no home in the threatening. What am I watching? Says comment from, and then it has a photo image, and then it has like a small photo image in a circle. So it's small, and then it has a name, and it has something about characteristic about the name. And I don't want to say which one because it's not true that I know who is operating somebody's internet service. It's true that you can use another username just like I do. My name is not Charles Toe. What is my name? Well, that's what's wrong with it. My name is deceased, and I need feeders is not true. I need myself deceased to move everyone around myself into their own deceasement with myself, and I couldn't move you from here to there. Watch me blink. And that's what's wrong with that. So I just wanted to mention that I did see the comment, but I don't have another answer. There is some talking going on about what is going to happen to myself and the end of the door locking. And I can't wait anymore, but it seems like I will be here for July 1st, year 2025, when I owe rent charges. To that, I have not seen anyone withdraw their objections to myself staying here, and that they won't come around on the 1st of the month or on between the 1st and the 5th of the month looking for rent money, or I have to go out on the spot. In June, around June 5th, the police were called because I didn't pay the rent. And it's true that July 1st is coming, and why wouldn't they call again on July 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, or 5th, or maybe the following Monday? Yeah, I just don't see what's wrong with you. Why don't you stop doing that to myself? And it's more than that. Why don't you go to jail because you're premeditated homicide on somebody you think owes you money? I'm not just somebody. I'm none higher than he, deceased down here. None higher than he up there who is making the creation of myself, and myself right here is deceased. None higher than he. Well, I'm supposed to know that I'm homeless, but I'm not allowed to say that I'm homeless in the threatening, and that's because I don't know what's wrong with it. Do you see what I mean? How it goes into homeless. I don't actually owe you that I tell you anything else about myself. I owe you myself deceased out of the door locking, but why? There's really no one else in the money for me. It's true that I don't know you any more than I know myself here, that I don't need to be here anymore. But some peoples are holding me alive because they did crime lording on myself over the past 30 days. That doesn't make sense in God because I'm not yourself. Well, you're not going to stop is not due. I'm waiting to detect that there is some part of you that is really coming for itself, that you have a God within yourself that is coming with yourself to something about yourself that you need for a death for yourself. And I so far don't see anybody having an individuality, that they would appear as an individual and go for something about the death for themselves. And you don't all look alike. You all have unique appearances and different names. and you don't actually have that in karma because you don't have an unclean death on yourself. If you die at the end of all time, your name is deceased the wrong way. You don't have a name and your appearance is completely deformed. It won't even be true that you could deform your appearance. It will come all the way off of you. And then there's such a thing as Creator 8, that he doesn't hold his formed bodies on. But why? What is so troubling about you? Don't you think it's worse that you don't have a body at all? Where did you think this is going? You're killing off your leverage, and you want to die very comfortably. You didn't kill yourself and go out of alive because you were outside homeless and you were in a snowbank somewhere. You actually died out of alive because you killed the soul of the superior founder with all of my leverage. You killed myself. I am all the leverage it is to alive the formed world. And all the time you've been telling me that I don't have a home. You never said that about yourself and went to jail and prison and died of that you offended something that alived yourself. Not something over yourself that is elsewhere, but over you and creating you, and something that is dominant over yourself. But you went over something that was aliving yourself that was elsewhere, and you didn't agree with it essentially, but you do because you are yourself alive that way. I'm going to mention the cable TV in my house in the year 1980, 89, 1988, 1987, maybe about there is cable TV. Is it before that? I'm not sure. We had over-the-air TV was also in color, yeah. And before it was cable TV for more channels. The Patty Duke show on Nickelodeon, Nick at Night. They're cousins, identical cousins, Patty Duke. And then that's looking now like they're illegal live shunts and they know each other, but they just give the credit to Patty Duke for being both of them. That's how I see it. Yeah, but now I see it elsewhere is that there are two of them, and they don't know each other very well. It's on television. That's a black and white TV show, and it's dated before I was alive here myself. And then there's another show from the first cable TV is so interesting the wrong way now. Rowan and Martin's Laughing. I just want you to know I am old. Rowan and Martin's Laughing had Goldie Hawn when she was really young. That's not really alive for Goldie Hawn. That's a threat that she's consuming. But she has alive after the year 1980, and that show is from the 1970s, maybe. And it's in color, but it's like a old, dated color. You know how it's like it has like definition with the old color to it, so that you know that it's not really alive for anyone. Yeah. And I would also like to mention Dolly Parton. I did see her on that TV in the family room of my house. It's not a family anymore, but it was named the family room. Right, I guess I would call it a great room, but that's only if I'm the only one in there, and it's not a very big room, and I wasn't very big myself when I was in there. In the early years, I grew my height, almost all of it, in that house. I lost my house, and I still had another 2 inches to grow before I was full height. The cable television was Viacom cable, table. I have to say table because it was hysterically not my fault that there was cable television in my house. So Viacom is Viacom, Viacom Cable Company. I would like to see the billing for Viacom cable. I would also like to report to Viacom that there's interest in the cable bill that exceeds my self-exist. I've never seen cable alive this way for so long, and it's aliving the threatening that I can see that I'm not outside homeless myself until I am homeless that way. You ran the TV all the way until I was homeless myself. It's true that people are threatening that they watch TV around my landlording and they want me to watch TV in the landlording, but I don't have it paid for to watch TV at this time. I'm working, I'm on TV with a lot of videos, countless, like more than 100 videos, short videos of myself because I don't have what it takes to make TV anymore because I'm deceased and threatening. And I have seen most of the TV that I would watch. There's plenty of TV that I would just skip, but I have seen what I like on TV, most of it. My favorite show is Obscene. South Park, yes, that's obscene, and I love it. South Park on Comedy Central. I've seen it on different cable companies. My second house has Warner Cable. If anybody's in there, I don't know because I'm not in there. It's in Mequon, Wisconsin. Uh, the cable company Warner, is it Time Warner? Okay, it could be Time Warner Cable Company. That's me hearing it in my house, or seeing it on the cable. But I don't have the billing. And I have seen a cable bill. I've seen all the bills. I've seen my university bills. I've seen the cable bills. But I don't receive them all because there is corruption of testimony as to how the billing is paid on time, and I need to be someplace on time. I need services on time. I need things on time for me to consume it. And it's not about me that I don't have a service, I have to have it. But the billing is not set. I don't have the billing coming to me and I can just pay it because it's posted and I can see it. And that's true that I don't owe it. That's still being charged. But I would pay that it's posted price because I can see it. I do what I see and hear, and I'll let you know if I do or if I don't. I'm not really someone who can be like described as a personality. I'm not really like that. I make threats and I don't always get my way. And then when I don't, you really don't know me as a person because I'm going through something that's not my karma. Yeah. It isn't my karma either way. I usually get the lower problem because I don't have it paid for that I would support, that you don't hold yourself in alive uh, because you are yourself. You don't. I see that you have sub-self problems. I don't have a sub-self problem I know of because I am elsewheres in the threatening. I wasn't born with you. I'm the first and alive. I make it possible for you to be alive and illegally alive genitals. I'm the one who would talk about the genitals. Your genitals are against myself. Your genitals are so low, I have feminine genitals on myself because that's what you consume. And you've even tested me if I could go lower than living in the female genitals I have, and I am reporting it to you. I am in my lowest life form. It doesn't go lower than this, and I'm so old, it's not fair. In time, I'm about 8 million years old in time, and I've been holding 8 million years of leverage and 45 years of alive of myself. And I know you're not impressed, but that's because you're not impressive. It's not due for me to have any karma at all, for you to see yourselves die in God. And instead, you want to go shopping and eat. You want to eat the soul's food so you don't have to acknowledge things about yourself. But the soul is alive the other way. I'm actually in the formed world so that you must acknowledge things about yourself. And when you eat the soul's food, you abominate myself is alive. And that's not elsewhere as how you have consumed to be into world number 17, where you have different genitals and in the previous worlds. And I don't actually know you with your genitals because you're so offensive and abusive to my leverage. That's all I know is my leverage, and it's a disaster. You can't take the kind of pain you deliver. No, you don't. You can't. You can take some pain, but you wouldn't know it substantially. What you do to me is really not due to me. It's really not to be formed in myself, but I am at the bottom of my lifetime. I'm going to decease myself out of the female genitals for eternity. I will not take this body God form again because it works is not in prejudice. I work is not in prejudice. I don't have the work deceased. Like I can't have a body just waiting that I might need it someday and it would work. That's not true that I would do that. I'm working as an accident. I don't owe it. I can just say no, but I won't die immediately. I'm in leverage. You put leverage on myself since I've been alive that I have to pay for, and I can't do that more than once. So this is the once. I'm speaking as God to a camera, and I don't have anyone who knows that about me. I turned on the camera myself. It's not because I'm important and I can reach a lot of people with one speaking into the camera myself alone. It's because you're not myself and you're not due to speak to myself. And this is how I can speak to you without that you would answer me. Even though I think you might be polite and sit there, but you have threats on your body that you object to what I am, and you don't have money to be in the presence of myself because you don't have it paid for in your constitution, and where you are trespassing that you don't offend myself. Because you're trespassing, you do speak up against myself in the threatening. I move the threatening fast because I'm alive, and you don't leave the threatening. You're not supposed to slow it down or change it. You're not supposed to modify your lifestyle for a more suitable personality for yourself. You're supposed to leave the threatening because you object to yourself with yourself, and you go to jail and prison for an unclean death. You're not going to jail because you're a criminal that is out of control in society and you need to be caged in a jail like an animal in a zoo. That's not why you should go to jail, but that's definitely why you should be there. That's you having been captured and put there. Yes, but you're not supposed to be captured like a wild animal and put in a cage. You're supposed to be going to jail and prison because it's the natural progression of yourself needing an unclean death on yourself. You get that in a jail and a prison with a deceased address. You must leave the address. You must leave the city, and even when you go outside of the city, you have to leave the address. You have to be in a prison to get the address deceased. And if you've not come that far in your own mind, you just heard it from me, you have all sorts of psychic problems now, which is, why do you know about my sexual abuse? Everybody knows about my sexual abuse, and you're not in prison to have sexual abuse to yourself and you get shot in the head? Well, I'm not supposed to go to your prisons. It's not really that this is how we do it. I'm not in your organized crime lording. I don't have leverage to be in a prison and get an unclean death on myself. I have a leverage to put myself in a prison at the end of all time, and I'm just describing that you're trying to put me in a prison and get something out of it. You still aren't going to give up your personality. Is really wrong that way. It's a blasphemy to your personality that you want to put me in prison and kill me. I'm God deceased and I am what's alive in your genitals, and you want to put me in prison and kill me because you think I don't know how to alive your genitals anymore. That's you not having a proper head for your genitals. And that's true that you belong in prison with your genitals to be removed in the prison once the address is deceased. And that's true, you have to work to decease the address because you don't actually live in a prison as a tenant. You're not a tenant in a prison. You're due to die of your prejudice and your unique appearance and your unique self that you have to die in God, and you have to have a self, and you can't just say that you don't know that about me, that you need me to die away from yourself because you just are that way. Well, I don't know why you are that way. I approximately don't afford to be in the threatening with you because I don't really see it that way. When you're alive and moving and talking and threatening myself and taking everything that moves away from myself, talking to me about myself, ask me where I live, ask me where I'm going, ask me what I can do for you. Yeah, I actually don't afford you in any sort of threatening in the formed world. I need you elsewhere because it's not due for you to speak to me like that. That's how I'm going to answer your question about what am I going to do with my life. My life, right? That's how I answer that. I need my dad to get this message, but I think he's uh, not in contact with me right now. I don't know where he is. He's like Charles Toe. I don't know where Charles Toe is. I don't know where my dad is. And my mom is in contact with Mitch. If he's here with his cell phone, I can see her that way. But it's not true that I know you. It's true that I need myself deceased out of the door locking because I don't have the money that you are, which is that you think it's okay to do crime on myself because I can't get away from you. That's not true that you should do that. You should know not to do that, and you don't really withdraw. I don't know why. Because I've seen you work. I've seen people work around me, and you don't work correctly. You don't work in the order so that you can get a death on yourself. You work in the order so that you can control things about your life. You want to be in control of your life, and I'm not sure why, because again, you're going to need a death on that because you can only have some distance of control on yourself, and then you do what? More crime after that. But for what end? To what end? Because you can't just disappear. You're going to die an unclean death, and you're going to know it.